And so just start by taking a few nice deep breaths and really just getting nice and relaxed. And then bringing your awareness to your head, your neck, and your shoulders. And just noticing how they feel today, how your head feels against the floor, and how your neck feels, and how your shoulders feel. Noticing the difference that you may feel from one shoulder blade to the other. Do they feel the same? Do they feel even? Do they feel uneven? And how does in between your shoulder blades feel today? Does it feel tense? And then moving through your shoulder blades and down through your arms and noticing how you're holding your arms today. Are they laying flat beside you? Are you holding them on top of your belly or your chest? Are your palms facing up? Are your palms facing down? And noticing how your arms feel in comparison to each other, how they feel on either the floor or on top of your body, wherever you have them placed. And then moving back into your torso, noticing how your chest and down through your rib cage, how it feels as you take a nice deep breath. And moving into your back, into your mid back, and taking another nice deep breath and just noticing how your back is feeling today. And now moving into your low back and your pelvis. And taking another deep breath, bringing your awareness to this place on your body and noticing how it feels today. How you feel in one side of your body to the other side, in your pelvis from one side to the other. And moving down through your legs.
Noticing how your quads feel, how the top of your legs feel sitting in your hips and against the floor, and all the way down through your knees and your calves, all the way to your ankles, and your feet, and even your toes. And we're going to start with some flatten and tilts today. So you can go ahead and bend your knees now and bring your feet up to standing. So your feet will be flat on the floor, knees bent, and just go ahead and leave your arms relaxed, laying long beside you. And we're going to start with our flatten. So staying nice and relaxed, we're going to inhale first. And now as you exhale, flattening your back to the floor by bringing your pubic bone and your ribs towards each other, tightening in your abdominal muscles and holding for just a moment. And now nice and super slow and controlled. Inhale again as you slowly release in your abdominals, slowly coming back to relaxed position, as slow and smooth as you can. And at the very end of that release, we're going to go into tilt. So rolling your tailbone forward and down to the floor, arching your low back just gently, just the hips, the pelvis tilting forward just slightly. So just a really small arch, holding for just a second, and exhale as you super slowly begin to release the contraction now in your back and your hips as your pelvis slowly floats back down to the neutral position. And at the very end of that release, going right into flatten again, bringing pubic bone and ribs towards each other, flattening your back into the floor as you tighten your abdominal muscles. Hold for just a moment. And now really bring your awareness to your belly as you slowly begin to release, slowly with control, really concentrating on those tummy muscles and slowing down that release as much as you can, as smooth and slow as you can. And at the end of that release, going into tilt again, rolling your tailbone forward and down to the floor, holding for just a moment. So your low back is now arched just gently off the floor. And now exhale as you slowly, with control, begin to release the pelvis, slow and smooth as you can. And at the end of that release, going into flatten one more time, bringing pubic bone and ribs towards each other as you flatten your back into the floor, tightening in your tummy muscles. Hold for just a moment. And now super slowly, releasing in your tummy, as slow and smooth as you can. And at the end of that release, tilting again, rolling your tailbone forward and down to the floor as you inhale. Gently arching the low back just slightly off the floor, holding for a moment. And now nice and slow and smooth, releasing that contraction, letting your pelvis come back down towards the floor as you slowly, with control, release. And at the end of that release, going right into flatten again, bringing pubic bone and ribs towards each other, tightening your tummy muscles. Back is now flattened to the floor, holding for just a second, and now super slowly begin to release as slow and smooth as you can, really working for a nice, smooth, controlled release from those tummy muscles. And at the end of that release, you're going to relax and take just a moment to rest. Now I'd like you to bring your right hand up behind your head. Your left arm is going to stay long beside your body. And we're going to do an elbow to opposite knee. So we're going to start this exercise with an inhale and tilt again. So when you're ready, inhale and tilt, rolling your tailbone forward and down to the floor. So slightly arching that low back off the floor. Hold for just a moment. And now exhale, slowly releasing the arch in your back, as slow and smooth as you can. And at the very end of that release, going right into flatten, bring your pubic bone and ribs towards each other. And now lifting your head and chest and bringing your right elbow towards your left knee. And if you feel comfortable to do it, you can also bring your left knee towards the right elbow. Remember, they don't need to touch and they don't need to go far. Hold for just a moment. And then nice and slow, you're going to lower your head and your elbow and slowly lower your foot back down to the floor with as much control as you can, keeping that movement nice and even and slow. When your head and your foot are back to the floor, slowly letting your elbow come back down to the floor slowly with control, and taking a moment to rest. We're going to repeat that one again, starting again with our inhale and tilt, rolling your tailbone forward and down, gently arching your low back. Hold for just a moment, and now exhale super slowly. Begin to release your pelvis as slow and smooth as you can. At the end of that release, going right into flatten, bringing pubic bone and ribs towards each other, and now lifting head and chest, bringing your right knee and your right elbow and your left knee towards each other. Hold for a moment, and then super slowly releasing. So slowly with control, letting your head and your foot come back down to the floor, as slow and smooth as you can. And when they're back to the floor, slow and smooth, bringing the elbow back down. Make sure to take a moment to rest when you've finished. And we'll repeat that one again. Inhale and arch, rolling your tailbone forward and down to the floor, lifting that low back, holding for just a moment. Exhale now as you slowly release, as slow and smooth as you can. And at the end of that release, going right into flatten as you bring pubic bone and ribs towards each other, lifting head and chest, bringing your right elbow and your left knee towards each other, holding for just a moment, and then super slow and controlled, taking them back down. Really paying attention to any of those places where you feel your movement has maybe gone slower or quicker, or it's bumpy or jerky. Those are the places you want to try to really work to smooth it out. When everything is back down to the floor, take a moment to rest. And then we're going to switch sides. So when you're ready, you'll bring your right arm down beside your body and your left arm up behind your head. And we'll start again on the other side with an inhale and arch, rolling your tailbone forward and down to the floor, holding for just a moment. Exhale now as you super, super slowly begin to release, as slow and smooth as you can. At the end of that release, flattening your back, bringing pubic bone and ribs towards each other, and gently lifting head and chest, bringing your left elbow and your right knee towards each other now, holding for just a second. And then super slowly begin to lower. As slow and smooth as you can. When your head and your foot are back to the floor, slowly with control, opening the elbow, and then taking just a moment to rest. And we'll repeat that one again. Inhale and arch, rolling your tailbone forward and down to the floor, holding for just a moment. And exhale as you slowly, with control, begin to release the contraction in your back and your pelvis, slowly letting that arch flatten back down towards the floor. And at the end of that release, going right into flatten, bringing pubic bone and ribs towards each other, lifting your head and chest, and bringing the left elbow and the right knee towards each other, holding for just a moment. And now nice and slow and controlled, taking them back down as slow and smooth as you can. When your head is back to the floor, slowly letting your elbow open. And making sure to take a moment to rest. And we'll repeat that one more time. Inhale and arch, rolling the tailbone forward and down, holding for just a second, and then super slowly begin to release. Slowly releasing in your back and your hips as your back floats back down towards the floor. At the very end of that release, going right into flatten as you bring your pubic bone and ribs towards each other, flattening the back to the floor, lifting your head and chest, and bringing your left elbow and right knee towards each other. And holding, and then super slow release again. as slow and smooth as you can. And when you've finished that one, make sure you take a moment to rest. And then without rushing, nice and slow, you're going to roll over onto your belly. And once you're rolled over onto your belly, you're going to rest your forehead onto the back of both of your hands. So both hands will be up. As long as this is comfortable, please make sure to stay in your comfort zone. These exercises can always be modified. You can do them sitting if you need to. So now you should have your forehead resting on the back of your hands. And we're going to do the exercise called peekaboo. So when you're ready, we're going to inhale and you're going to lift your head and your eyes. Your hands are going to stay on the floor, lifting head and eyes, gazing upwards, just gently lifting. Hold for just a moment, and now super slowly begin to lower your chest, your head, and your eyes back down to the floor as slow and smooth as you can. And rest. We're going to repeat that one, but this time I want you all to only lift your head, your chest, and your eyes half as high as you did on the last one. And this time, let's try it with an exhale. So staying relaxed, inhale first. And exhale, lifting your head, chest, and eyes just halfway this time. Just a little small lift, holding for a moment. And now super slowly, lowering your head, your eyes, and your chest back down to your hands. Slow and smooth as you can. And then rest. We're going to do the same one again, only this time you're also going to add in a very small leg lift. You're going to be thinking of lengthening and lifting your right leg off of the floor. Remember, it does not need to lift high. At the most, lift your foot maybe 2 to 3 inches. Let's do it with an exhale again. So staying relaxed, inhale first. And exhale, lift head, chest, and eyes. And at the same time, lengthen and lift your right leg just a small amount off the floor, holding for a moment. And now nice and slow, lowering head, chest, and eyes and your leg back down to the floor as slow and smooth as you can. And make sure to rest. And we'll repeat that one again, except this time we'll be lifting the left leg. So staying relaxed, starting with an inhale again first. And exhale, lifting head, chest, and eyes, and at the same time lengthening and lifting your left leg just slightly off the floor, holding for a moment, and nice and slow, lowering everything back down. As slow and smooth as you can. When everything is back to the floor, take a moment to rest. And then nice and slow, you're going to leave your right arm where it is, but bring your left arm down beside your body, and then turn your head to the right. So you'll be looking towards your elbow. The next exercise we're going to do is called look over the shoulder. And I like to do this one with an exhale. So staying relaxed, inhale first. And exhale, lifting head, chest, and elbow, and lengthening and lifting your left leg at the same time. Think of gently looking over that right shoulder as you're lifting your head, chest, and elbow, and hold for just a moment. And now nice and slow, begin to lower your head, your chest, and your elbow, and at the same time lowering your left leg. As slow and smooth as you can. Make sure to rest. We'll repeat that one again, staying relaxed. Inhale first. And exhale, lifting head, chest, and elbow, lengthening and lifting the left leg as you gently look over your right shoulder. Think of turning your right elbow just gently towards the roof. So you get just a little bit of a turn or a little bit of a twist in this exercise. Hold for a moment. And now nice and slow and controlled, taking everything back down to the floor as slow and smooth as you can. And make sure to rest. And we're going to do one more on that side. So staying relaxed, inhale first. Exhale, lifting head, chest, and elbow, lengthening and lifting left leg as you gently look over the right shoulder, holding for just a moment, and nice and slow, lowering everything back down as slow and smooth as you can. And when everything is down to the floor, take a moment to rest. And then nice and slow, we're going to be switching sides. So you'll be taking your right arm now down beside your body. Your left arm will come up to your head, and you'll be turning your head now the opposite direction. So you'll be looking towards your left elbow. Staying nice and relaxed. Take an inhale first. And exhale, lifting head, chest, and elbow, looking gently over your shoulder, and at the same time lengthening and lifting the right leg. Holding for just a moment, and then nice and slow and controlled, lowering everything back down. As slow and smooth as you can. And when everything is back down to the floor, make sure you take a moment to rest. And we'll repeat that one again. Staying relaxed, starting with an inhale first. And exhale, lifting head, chest, and elbow, lengthening the right leg and lifting as you look over your left shoulder, just gently, lifting the left elbow slightly to the ceiling, and then slowly begin to lower. Slow and smooth. Always remembering this is the most important part of somatics, is the slow, smooth, controlled release. When everything is back down to the floor, take a moment to rest. We'll repeat that one again, starting with an inhale while we're relaxed. And exhale, lifting head, chest, and elbow. Lengthening and lifting the right leg as you gently look over your shoulder, holding for a moment, and super slowly lowering. As slow and smooth as you can. And when everything is to the floor, take a moment to rest. We'll repeat one more time. Inhaling in our relaxed position first. And exhale, lifting head, chest, and elbow, lengthening the right leg, gently looking over your shoulder, holding for just a moment. And now nice and slow, lowering everything back down to the floor, slow and smooth as you can. And when everything is back down to the floor, make sure you take a moment to rest. And now I'm going to ask you to bring that right arm back up under your forehead again and turn your head straight so your forehead will be resting on the back of your hands again. And this one we're going to leave our hands and our head on the floor, and this time you're going to be lifting your elbows. So taking an inhale as you stay relaxed first. And exhale, gently lifting just your elbows off the floor. They don't need to lift high. And as they lift that little bit off the floor, you're going to notice that your shoulder blades are squeezing together behind you. Hold that for just a moment, and then nice and slow, begin to lower your elbows, really bringing your awareness to what's happening between your shoulder blades as you slowly lower those elbows. And when they're back to the floor, take a moment to rest. And we're going to repeat that one again. So staying relaxed, inhale first. And exhale, your head and your hands stay on the floor and just your elbows lift now, gently squeezing in your shoulder blades, holding for a moment, and now nice and slow and smooth, lowering them back down to the floor. And make sure to rest when you've finished. And we're going to do one more, only this time I want everyone to only lift your elbows half as high, but make sure you try to take just as long to lower them to the floor. So staying relaxed, inhale first. Exhale now, leaving your head and hands on the floor, lifting just your elbows only slightly. And now super slow and smooth as you possibly can, lowering those elbows back down to the floor. And then making sure to rest. Good, and when you're ready and nice and slow, you're gonna roll back over onto your back again. And you're gonna bring your knees to that same bent position with your feet flat on the floor. Now you're gonna leave arms long beside you, and we're gonna do a few flatten and tilts with our arms rolling. So we're gonna start with a tilt. So we're gonna do an inhale and a tilt, rolling our tailbone forward and down to the floor. At the same time, now roll your arms open so that your palms are facing up to the ceiling. Hold for just a moment, and now nice and slow, begin to lower your back, releasing in your pelvis and back muscles as your back comes towards the floor. Slowly begin to roll your hands over now so that your palms are facing down. And then you're going to go right into your flatten, bringing pubic bone and ribs towards each other, flattening your back to the floor, and now rolling your arms inwards towards your body so the back of your hands are facing your body. Hold for just a moment, and now nice and super slow, releasing in your abdominals and releasing in your chest as you slowly let your arms roll back open as slow and smooth as you can. And at the end of that release, going right into tilt again, rolling the palms up to the ceiling, tilting your hips by rolling your tailbone forward and down. And notice that your shoulder blades have pressed into the floor gently as you rolled those arms open. Hold for just a moment, and then nice and slow, begin to release in your shoulder blades, releasing in your back and hips, slowly letting your arms roll back over to palms down, as slow and smooth as you can. Then going right into flatten, bringing pubic bone and ribs towards each other, flattening your back to the floor and rolling your arms now inwards towards your body so the back of your hands are facing your body. Hold for a moment, and now super slow, begin to release in your back, in your tummy muscles, and at the same time releasing in your chest, noticing that as you unroll your arms, slowly letting them come away from your body, that you're releasing in your chest and you're releasing in your belly as you slowly release that flatten. Going into tilt one more time, rolling your tailbone forward and down to the floor, rolling your arms open to palms facing up, holding for just a moment, and now nice and slow, releasing. As slow and smooth as you can. And at the end of that release, you're going to take a moment to rest. Now you're going to bring your hands up behind your head if that's comfortable for you. If it's not, you can certainly leave your arms laying long beside your body. And we're going to do a couple of arch and curls to finish today. So we're going to start again with an inhale and arch, rolling your tailbone forward and down to the floor. And at the same time now, think of pressing your shoulder blades to the floor and drawing them towards your tailbone. And also tilt your head back. Hold for just a moment, and now nice and slow, begin to release in the back of your neck, slowly releasing in your shoulders, super slowly releasing in your back and your hips. At the very end of that release, you'll go right into flatten, bringing pubic bone and ribs towards each other. Bring your elbows together and gently lift your head and chest now into a soft curled position. Hold for a moment, and now nice and slow, lowering your head, really focusing on your abdominals as you slowly, with control, bring your head back down to the floor. And once your head is on the floor, slowly letting your elbows open. And taking a moment to rest. On this next arch and curl, we'll be taking both of our elbows towards our right knee. So starting the same way again with an inhale and arch, rolling your tailbone forward and down to the floor, at the same time pressing your shoulder blades and drawing them towards your tailbone, tilting your head back, holding for just a moment. And now exhale as you slowly begin to release the contraction in the back of your neck, slowly releasing in your back and your hips, as slow and smooth as you can. And at the end of that release, lift, going into flatten, bringing pubic bone and ribs towards each other, lifting your head and chest, and now taking both your elbows towards your right knee. You can also lift your knee towards your elbows if you'd like, or you can leave your foot flat on the floor. Then nice and slow, begin to release. So slowly letting your head come back down and slowly lowering your foot if you've lifted it. As slow and smooth as you can. And when your head is back down to the floor, slowly with control, letting the elbows open. Make sure to take a moment to rest when you finish this one. And on the next one, we'll be taking both of our elbows to the left side. So starting again with our inhale and arch, rolling your tailbone forward and down to the floor, pressing your shoulder blades, drawing them towards your tailbone and tilting your head back. Hold for a moment and exhale. Slowly begin to release as slow and smooth as you can. And at the very end of that release, you'll go right into flatten, bringing pubic bone and ribs towards each other, bringing your elbows together as you flatten your back to the floor and lift your head and chest now, bringing those elbows towards your left knee. And if you'd like at the same time, you can bring your left knee towards your elbows. Hold for a moment and then super slowly releasing. So really focusing again on your abdominals as you slowly with control lower your head and slowly lower your foot. And when everything is back down to the floor, slowly lowering the elbows, and taking a moment to rest. The next one will be going straight again, and I'd like everyone to really challenge yourself to go even slower on this next one. Starting again with an inhale and arch, rolling your tailbone forward and down to the floor, pressing your shoulder blades, drawing them towards your tailbone, and tilting your head back. Hold for a moment. And now exhale as you super, super slowly begin to release the contraction in your shoulders, your back, your hips, as slow and smooth as you can. And at the end of that release, going right into flatten, bringing pubic bone and ribs towards each other, and elbows together, gently lifting your head and chest into that curled position, holding for just a moment, and now super slowly begin to lower your head. Nice and slow and smooth. Focusing on the release that's happening in your abdominal muscles as you slowly lower your head. And when your head is down to the floor, bringing your awareness to your chest now as you slowly let those elbows open. Once your elbows are resting, take a moment to rest. We're going to do another one of those, and this time, if you're comfortable with lifting your feet off the floor in this one, when we get into the curl, you can, but remember, you certainly don't have to. You can just leave your feet flat on the floor as well. So starting again with an inhale and arch, rolling your tailbone forward and down to the floor, pressing your shoulder blades, drawing them down towards your tailbone, tilting your head back, holding for a moment, and now exhale, super slowly releasing in your back and hips. Slowly releasing in your shoulders, slow and smooth as you can. And at the end of that release, going right into flatten, bringing pubic bone and ribs towards each other, bring your elbows together, gently lift your head and chest, and if you're comfortable to lift your legs up, bringing your knees and elbows towards each other, holding for a moment, and now nice and slow, begin to lower your feet, slowly lowering your head, trying to ignore my dog who's growling in the background. Sorry, everybody. And when your head and feet are back down, slowly opening your elbows. Take a moment to rest. And we're going to do one more of those to finish today. It's up to you if you would like to lift your feet for this last one or not. But one more arch and curl. So starting again with an inhale and arch, rolling your tailbone forward and down to the floor, pressing your shoulder blades and drawing them towards your tailbone and tilting your head back. Hold for a moment. Exhale, super, super slowly releasing in the back of your neck. Slowly releasing in your hips and your back. as slow and smooth as you can. And going right into flatten, bring your pubic bone and ribs towards each other, squeezing in your tummy as your back flattens to the floor. Bring your elbows together and gently lift your head and chest. Hold for a moment. And nice and slow, begin to release. As slow and smooth as you can. And once your head is down to the floor, slowly letting your elbows open. Make sure to take a moment to rest when you've finished. And then when you're ready, without rushing, you're going to lay your legs long again and take yourself back into that scan position that we did at the beginning of class today. And start by taking just a few nice deep breaths and noticing how you feel. And we'll start at the top of the head again, so bringing your awareness to your head and your neck. Noticing how your head feels on the floor, if it feels any different than it did when we started. And now bringing awareness to your neck and your shoulders and your shoulder blades, and comparing how they feel now to how they felt when we started. And down through your shoulder blades, down to your mid-back and your chest, and take a nice deep breath here. And just notice how your breath feels now compared to when we started today. You may notice you have more movement in your body as you take this breath. You may notice that you're able to take a deeper breath. And now bringing awareness to your low back and your pelvis and your low belly. And take another breath here. And same thing, noticing how you feel now compared to when we started. Does your low back feel closer to the floor? Does it feel less tense? And moving through your hips, down through your legs, the back of your knees and your calves, through your ankles, your feet, and your toes. And then when you're ready, and without rushing, you can roll to your side and come up to sitting.